Good day, parents, teachers, friends, and learners. Thank you for joining me once again. Get ready as we commence our learning journey with Dr. Jerry. Now we are on the second part of our series entitled Ensuring Learning in a Home-Based Setting. If you have not yet watched the first installment, I highly suggest that you pause this video and click Part 1 first. But if you have done so, then let this journey begin. In our first session, we focused on the first step to ensure that learning takes place even in a home-based setting. The importance of talking to our child can never be overemphasized. Talking to them about COVID-19, the new normal, while establishing rules, procedures, and routines, and informing them of the learning goals. These are all huge strides that will make them feel that you indeed care for their learning. Today's session is centered on the following outcomes. Number one is that you will discover or rediscover variables that affect your child's learning. And number two, you will plan how to capitalize on your child's dominant learning strength. Excited? So am I. So let's get started. It has been mentioned over and over again that everyone is unique. Our former teachers must have mentioned it many times that as unique as our thumb mark is, so is our individuality. And this truth does not ring much louder than in dealing with our learners. Learners have similarities. They all have senses, instincts, memory, intellect, and imagination. But amidst these similarities lurk learners' differences which affect their teaching and learning experiences. And one of these is their modality of learning. There are 4 established modalities of learning: visual, kinesthetic, auditory, and tactile. When we say modalities, I want you to think of it as a pathway. There are 4 pathways where information or content passes through, but each one has a different size for each learner. For some, their visual paths may be wider, meaning if the teacher utilizes visual aids, pictures, realia, models, and real objects, students can get the information much faster. But to some, information is easily retained when it is dictated, sung, or rapped. Others prefer the information to be presented in a way that requires them to move or use their muscles, like draw, write, create models, or build replica. For others, learning happens much faster when they feel or touch things. They want to explore more and be actively engaged. So these are the 4 pathways or modalities of learning. The question is, do you know which is your child's learning path? Are you aware of their modality of learning? Is your child a visual, auditory, tactile, or kinesthetic? Yes, dear parents, it is a must that we are aware of our learner's dominant learning modality. If we know their preferred way to learn or receive information, then we can help them much better to retain it. For example, if their lesson is about the digestive system and your child is a visual learner, aside from the picture from the book or module, you can search for a video from YouTube that discusses the digestive system. If your child is auditory, there are podcasts that use realistic and sense-rich sound effects. If your child is kinesthetic, let him draw or use clay to make a mock-up digestive system. And if he is tactile, then you can find a book about the digestive system where your child can touch the different organs involved. When we parents really know our child's modality of learning and take advantage of it, then we can ensure that learning happens even in the home-based setting. But aside from the modality of learning, another question arises. Do you know your child's multiple intelligences? Howard Gardner, an education professor from Harvard University, proposed the multiple intelligences theory. He introduced the 8 dimensions of multiple intelligences. And for this discussion, let us call these talents of our learners. Some learners are people smart. They ask for advice, prefer team or group work, and loves peer teaching. Others are body smart. They get uncomfortable when they are seated for a long time, and working with their hands is how they learn most. Word smart learners are those who like to tell jokes, stories, or tales. They like reading books and enjoy writing. Number smart. These are learners who like strategy games, like using logic and using data. They also solve math problems quite easily. Nature smart are those who enjoy spending time with and learning about nature. They love outdoors. Self-smart learners, on the other hand, demonstrate self-awareness, are very reflective, and have strength for self-evaluation. They prefer to work independently, and they enjoy working by him or herself. Picture smart. They like colors and interesting designs. They draw, doodle, and they like videos, movies, and photographs. Music smart are those who have an aptitude for singing or playing instruments and have a good sense of rhythm. Basically, this theory states that each person has ways of learning and different intelligences that he or she uses in his or her daily lives. As mentioned earlier, while some can learn very well in a linguistically based environment, such as reading and writing, others are better taught when through mathematical, logical-based learning. Still, others benefit most from body kinesthetic intelligence, or learning by doing with the hands. Yes, each person possesses each intelligence to an extent, but there is always a primary or more dominant intelligence or talent. And just like in modalities of learning, if we are aware of our child's dominant intelligence, then we can help them learn more. Talking to our child is the first step, but as parents, it is our obligation to be aware of their modalities of learning, their dominant intelligences or talents. The key takeaway for this session is this: that each learner is unique because God created us that way. And as parents, if we want to ensure learning, especially in a home-based setting, we have to know our child. We have to discover how they learn best. We have to observe his habits, and we need to make adjustments for him. Also, we have to capitalize on our child's dominant intelligences. Look for indicators and cultivate their talents. We are now done with the second step or principle. And if you want to learn more, why don't you click the subscribe button so you will be informed when the video presentation is up. And if this presentation has helped you, please feel free to hit the like button. Anyway, both of them are free. Thanks once again for joining me, and see you in another session of Learning Journey with Dr. Jerry.